Hello, my name is FBM3, and in today's video we're going to be using color curves in Final Cut Pro to get a more vintage look for our footage. So let's roll the intro and we'll get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in my last video I was talking about how we don't need to use color finale to get really beautiful color grading and to put LUTs on our footage. And in today's video we're focusing a little bit more on color curves. So if you've ever watched any YouTube videos, any tutorial videos, you'll notice that color curves are talked about a whole heck of a lot. People are always like, put an S curve on it, that cinematic S curve. You can see all kinds of interesting videos about S curves and still no one has any idea how to do it and what it means. So in today's video, we're gonna be focusing on how we can create an S curve in Final Cut Pro to give us that really cool cinematic or even a vintage look. So let's dive right in and we'll take a look at this on Final Cut Pro. I recently started work on a video for a coffee company called Tinker Coffee based here in Indianapolis. They're a coffee roaster who makes some of the best coffee probably in the world. One of the things that I noticed whenever I was shooting this footage was it was a little bit desaturated and I kind of went through the typical color correction to get it to where I wanted it, but I really want to put some of that vintage feel into some of these clips. Let's take a look at how we can do that with the clip that I've got here, this little slow motion pour of coffee. I'm gonna start by going up to the top left-hand side and grabbing my adjustment layer. This is something that I created to make it a little bit easier to apply color effects to multiple clips. So I've clicked on my adjustment layer. And I'm gonna go up to the top right-hand side and click on my color tools, which are already open. Now I'm going to click on No Corrections and choose Color Curves. So this takes us into the color curve territory. And you'll notice a few things inside of here. First we have Luma, we have red, green, and blue. This is typically what people are talking about whenever they're talking about color curves. Let's start by creating that typical S curve. I'm going to do that by putting 3 points on my curve. I'm going to put one in the center, one on the left, and one on the right. The left-hand side is going to be black, and the far right-hand side is going to be white. So if I pull this up, this is making my shadows brighter. If I pull this down, this is making my shadows darker. Now, I don't want any of my shadows to get crushed below this 100% section, so I'm gonna keep them right about here. To get that vintage look, typically you don't have a true black color whenever you're looking at vintage film. All that I have to do is go to the far left-hand side, start to slide this up, and you'll notice what's happening on the color chart on the left-hand side. We're seeing that the shadows are starting to be pulled up, and when you're looking at the footage, we start to lose some of that crisp blackness. So this is actually moving our blacks into more of a gray territory. So if we pull this all the way up, we would see that everything starts to get gray and then eventually white. It's gonna start looking really weird, but whenever we pull it up just a little bit, we start to get some really beautiful colors in here. So I really like this kind of lighter, dark, gray, black color as opposed to solid black. So we're gonna keep it there. So as I pull up the top curve, we can see that we start to get this S shape in the curve. We'll notice whenever we're doing this, our highlights are starting to increase. So on the far right-hand side, we've got this white area that we can see on the chart on the left. That's starting to get wider and wider and more things are being pulled into that. So this allows me to get a almost pure white kind of look. So we've got something really high contrast. We can pull that down a little bit to be a bit more subtle. And then on the far right-hand side, I can also pull down this point to give a little bit more of a light gray color to my whites, as opposed to being a pure white, like we can see when it's on the top right-hand side. So this gives me a little bit more of a vintage feel by taking the highlights and taking the lowlights or the shadows and moving those up. We've got a couple other curves on here. We have red, green, and blue. So we can use this if we want to get more of a vintage camcorder feel, which typically have kind of a greener color in the midtones. So if we pull this up, we start to see some of that green. Maybe we pull a little bit of red in as well. And the great part about the adjustment layer is that I can just click V to disable it to see what the image looked like before and after. So let's play this back and see what it looks like. Okay, I really like the way that that looks. So in this video, we took the color curves, and that allows us to create little S curves, as well as increasing the shadows to be a light gray, or rather a dark gray, and decreasing the highlights to be more of a light gray. That gives us that vintage look that's a little bit more contrasted, or a little bit more cinematic as we think about it. We also use the red and the green curve to increase some of the reds and greens in the midtones to give us a more vintage look, something that you'd see on film. So if this was helpful, click the like button below. If it wasn't, leave me a comment and let me know what you'd like to learn about more. We can always cover something on our next video. Also subscribe, I'm going to be bringing out more content throughout the year, and I just want to help you guys learn how to use Final Cut Pro more effectively and to start saving a little bit of money. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!